Ladies and gentlemen, this is Pillar to Post, and I am your host, Pete Wall. And tonight, or I should say, last night, was NXT Takeover Chicago. It was one of the best pay-per-views of 2017 coming from WWE. And I want to say this. If NXT keeps on going the way they're going to surpass everything that the main roster is doing. They have made their mark, and they are staying fast as the best brand in WWE. That is my point of view. Now, it might not be everyone's point of view, but every show NXT puts on has been so much better than what the main roster is doing. You look at the last pay-per-view Raw put on. Total garbage. Yeah, it wasn't too bad. There was some high spots, but NXT blows the doors off of whatever the main roster seems to be doing. It is good to see. I enjoy it. But before we get in too far, I want to let everyone know that today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Now you can get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/pillar to post. Now they have over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Make sure you take advantage of this because, hell, it doesn't just benefit me because they are my sponsor, but it benefits you. You get a free audiobook. You can't lose if you get something for free. Plus, you get 30 days as a free trial as a member of Audible.com. So please take advantage of it. Now, moving into our NXT review, I already did one, but I want to test my streaming capabilities. There was a lot of lag going on, and this is, I believe, like the 12th time I've tried doing a live stream, and it has sucked balls. And I am tired of sucking on balls. I want, something that's going to put a nice taste in the back of my throat for a change. Maybe some good pussy or something. But balls, I'm tired of sucking on, and that's what the live stream has been to this point, is dirty, sweaty balls. It looks like it's all working good. I want to say hello to anyone that's watching, and let's move into the action that we have going on tonight. So at the very top of the show for NXT TakeOver Chicago, we had Roderick Strong versus Eric Young. Now, Strong surprised Sanity at the onset by coming out of the crowd and taking out the rest of the group prior to the start of the match. But a running crossbody by Killian Dane outside the ring slowed Strong's momentum and allowed Young to take over for at least a few minutes anyway. Now, Dane and Alexander Wolf will both manage to interfere throughout the match, despite the referee having them well within his sights. And, Strong just kept on coming back. Now, near the end of the bout, Strong took out Dane and Alexander before delivering a hard jumping knee strike to Young. Young fell off the top rope and into his compatriots. Now, back in the ring, Strong hit another jumping knee and a vertical suplex, lifted and dropped into a double knee breaker, or backbreaker, I should say. This has also been called End of Heartache, also known as the Strong Breaker, but the impressive move did allow him to get the 1-2-3 on Eric Young. Now, I'm going to say this. Every single match on NXT TakeOver tonight was outstanding. Now, there was a little issue in the women's match. There was a lot of stalling, a lot of pausing. They should have really amped it up a little bit more. But all in all, every single match had a lot going into it. Now, if we have any viewers, please chime in on the live chat. I see one watching currently. Hello, how are you? I should probably, before I get too far into it, and share the link wherever I am on social media. So, here, how about I do this? Before I move on, sorry for the Sorry for the pausing. I just need to share the link out. I didn't do it beforehand, so let me get into this and we will move on. Now up next we had the UK title. I want to say this is the best match of the fucking night. The fans were on their feet through a lot of this match. And I this was my first time really getting into a UK title, or I mean UK match. I look at these guys, and a lot of them are very small. So at first I thought, it's just a new version of the cruiserweights, but no, these guys are fucking phenomenal. We had Pete Dunne versus Tyler Bate, who is the United Kingdom champion. Now, Mat Wrestling was the name of the game early until Dunne hit the X-Plex. It's a vertical suplex from ringside, released mid-air onto the ring apron. And that allowed him to take control. Now, Dunne locked Bate in a triangle submission, but he was able to escape it by slowly rising to his feet, with Dunne attached before slamming him down. Now, Bate then executed an airplane spin for a good 10 seconds, with both men falling to the mat, spent. Like these guys were done. A strong forearm by Dunne to a flying Bate, followed by a vertical suplex released into a sit-down powerbomb, only earned the challenger a 2 count. Now the men eventually met with a forehead-to-forehead stare-down in the ring and traded blows until Bate hit a lariat, using his shoulders to propel him off the top rope. Dunne would escape at a Tyler Driver 97, which is also known as a double underhook sit-down powerbomb, and then he attempted to turn it into the bitter end, which is also known as a pump handle flatliner, only for Bate to reverse with a DDT that sent Dunne out of the ring. Now Bate quickly moved to the middle of the rope for a moonsault outside the ring, threw Dunne inside the ring, and hit a corkscrew 450 for another near fall. Now Dunne rolled himself outside and laid in wait as Bate threw himself through the middle rope. Dunne tossed Bate aside, moved him back into the ring, and finally hit the bitter end, and he became the new champion. Now, putting into words what this match was, it's hard to do. It is very hard to do. If anyone can do it, it's not me. That is for damn sure. Now, like I said, best match of the night. There was so many high spots in this match. These guys went toe-to-toe, nail to nail. And when you see two guys start off on their knees, totally spent, and they barely have the energy to throw a punch, so they start off throwing slaps. And then as they get up higher, they start throwing punches, and then they're finally on their feet, and it's just a brawl back and forth, trading punches left and right. It is unbelievable to watch. These UK guys put on a fucking show tonight that surpassed anything else that was done on NXT Takeover Chicago. I want to give you a little break here. I'm going to pause and I'm going to say hello to my son. How's it going, Austin?
Oh, pretty good deal.
I'm doing good. How's work?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm just doing a live stream right now, and then I'll be in to talk to you a bit. Or were you heading up to bed?
I was going to bed.
Okay. Good night, buddy. I love you. I'll see you in the morning, okay?
Probably close after then.
Well, probably, since it's after 1 in the morning. Well, sorry for the interruption. That was my son. He just got home from work, so I had to say, like I was saying, these guys put on a fantastic show. I cannot put into words how good it was to do it justice. But tonight was the night of the UK guys. Now, following this was the NXT Women's Championship match, which was Asuka versus Nikki Cross versus Ruby Riott. I don't think this match was as good as it could have been. It was nonetheless a good quality match. there was not a bad match on the show, but I think without Ember Moon in it, it took away something. And it needed her in there to give it the extra little spice that it needed. There was a lot of pausing, a lot of stop and go in this match. And to me, if you have both women, you have both of your opponents on the mat, why would you sit on your knees and just look at them and watch them? Doesn't make sense to me. It kind of pissed me off, a little bit upset about it, but all in all, it still was an exciting match, and it was a great match. Now, there was plenty of action early on, but it was not until Asuka hit Riot with a German suplex bridge for a 2 count that business really picked up in this match. Asuka then avoided a high-risk maneuver by Riot and caught her in the Asuka lock. But Cross quickly ensured there was no tap out, and Cross caught a sliding Asuka by pulling the ring apron and getting the champion stuck in the middle between the apron and the ring. She delivered some vicious blows with Asuka unable to defend herself and followed with a hanging neckbreaker that may have ended the match if not for Riot's interference. The challengers eventually teamed up to knock Asuka out of the ring, and Riot reversed a fisherman's neckbreaker into a Pele kick. Looked phenomenal. I loved it. She quickly covered Cross in a sequence that would have been the end of the match. Instead, Asuka ran in, knocked Riot out with a sliding knee to the face, and laid across both women, pinning them at the same time. Your winner and still reigning and undefeated champion, Asuka. Like I said, it wasn't until that bridging German suplex where business really picked up. But until then, there was a lot of stop and go. It was a little bit frustrating to see. You could see that they had basically set this match up to have a 4-way. And without that fourth person in, who was Ember Moon, it didn't work cohesively like it could have. So it fell a little bit short, but still a great match to watch. Especially when you consider that WWE considers NXT as a feeder brand. You cannot take away what these guys are doing, because to me they're doing a world difference between what we see on the main rosters and what we see on NXT. Now, up next was the NXT Championship. Bobby Roode versus Hideo Itami. Hideo Itami had Roode on the ropes after hitting the Falcon Arrow and spending a lot of time on Roode's left shoulder. Now, I'm not going right from the beginning of this match. Don't expect me to, because it would be way too much to cover. Now, Itami had Roode on the ropes after hitting the Falcon Arrow and spending a lot of time on Roode's left shoulder. Due to the injured shoulder, which was exasperated when Itami threw Roode's shoulder first into the steel steps, Roode struggled to get Itami up for the glorious DDT. Attempting to hurt Roode's shoulder further, Itami tried a running dropkick into the steel steps, but Roode avoided it and Itami hurt his left knee. The knee made it equally difficult for Itami to hit the go to sleep, which Roode reversed into a glorious DDT, but only got a near fall. When Roode went for a second glorious DDT to seal the deal, Itami caught him with the GTS, but Roode rolled out of the ring to prevent the pinfall. Now, just as Itami looked poised to win with another GTS, Roode pushed himself off the challenger's shoulders, hit a glorious DDT, retained the headlock, rolled over, picked Itami up for a second glorious DDT before covering and making the match a 1-2-3 fall. You know, you cannot deny the shit that these guys put on tonight. The show that these guys put on was unfucking believable. I'm glad the stream's still working. We're 14 minutes in. It's not going to be a long stream, but everything is working perfectly. There's been a little lag, but not very much. So I am very proud of the settings I finally was able to set correctly and it looks like I'll be able to do a lot more live streams in the very near future. Now, last but not least, we had the NXT Tag Team Championship match, which was a ladder match between the Authors of Pain and DIY. Now, Razor powerbombing Johnny Gargano into Tommaso Ciampa was an early highlight, but AOP was unable to capitalize due to their size, making it difficult to climb the ladder. Ciampa at one point used a ladder being held up as a ramp and was able to touch the titles but not grab hold. Now, their inability to climb the ladder quickly resulted in AOP often stopping mid-climb to take out DIY, at one point running through the team with a ladder. AOP then set up an extra tall ladder at ringside along with ladders crossing horizontally from under the turnbuckles to the ringside barrier. DIY eventually laid AOP on those horizontal ladders, climbed to the top of the tall ladder, and delivered double splashes to both Razor and Occam. Now, Ciampa connected, breaking the ladder with Razor in half, and while Gargano overshot his ladder just by a little bit, he kind of like skidded right over him. And Gargano overshot his ladder, denting it and knocking Occam off while flipping over and nearly landing on his head. Now, back in the ring, all four competitors stood on two ladders trading blows. Ciampa versus Occam, Gargano slugging it out with Razor. Now, Occam knocked off Ciampa, who pushed Razor's ladder to the side as Gargano jumped to the main ladder and punched Occam off. Just as Gargano was about to claim the belts, Paul Ellering entered the ring, held his foot, and Gargano moved off the ladder and super kicked Ellering, giving Occam an opening to kick Gargano square in the gut. Now, AOP prepared to drill a kneeling Ciampa with the top of the ladder like a battering ram, but Gargano jumped in the ring, pushed his teammate out of the way, and took a disgusting shot to his face. It looked freaking vicious, man. I love the spot. Razor had both hands on the belts as Occam held the ladder, but Ciampa sprung to action and powerbombed. It wasn't a powerbomb, it was a German suplex Razor into a ladder propped up in the corner, disintegrated the ladder, and it looked like it almost broke Razor in half as well. Now, completely, with Razor out, Occam picked up a ladder to take out DIY, but instead got kicked in the head multiple times. DIY then hit meeting in the middle with the ladder around Occam's head, climbing a ladder together and held onto the belts as AOP removed the ladder from underneath. AOP pulled DIY down with consecutive power bombs, picked up Gargano and Ciampa, hit the Super Collider, climbed the ladder, and retained their titles. It was another great match. Like, there was a lot of stop and go like we've seen in the women's. I didn't understand it. So many times I've seen DIY have the opportunity to scoot up those ladders, grab the titles, but you could tell it wasn't supposed to happen. Now, after the match, this is when shit really went down. The crowd was chanting DIY loudly. They had a standing ovation and gave as Gargano and Ciampa stood in the ring defeated. Now, DIY eventually made their way up the entrance ramp with fans still chanting and cheering. Just as it looked like Takeover Chicago was about to go off the air, Ciampa put his arm around Gargano and threw him into the set, the LEDs. He then removed his pad and hit Gargano with a running knee to the face. The crowd responded with an audible "fuck you, Ciampa," which led him to throw a helpless Gargano on the announce table and deliver a Death Valley driver off the stage and into a pair of tables. I wrote it down wrong. It wasn't a Death Valley driver. It was more like Sheamus's white noise. And it looked vicious. EMTs quickly there to check on Gargano and Ciampa both. Ciampa was clearly hurt a little bit. Gargano obliterated and was being checked on and obviously loaded up onto a gurney to haul him away. All in all, great fucking takeover event. If Backlash doesn't do any better, I don't know what the hell the problem is, because all they have to do is look to NXT and follow suit. That's all they need to do. And they can have some of the best matches that WWE has had in a long, long time. But they refuse to do it. I don't understand why. What Triple H and William Regal and their crew of creative team is doing with NXT is working. They're more about the wrestling, and that's what people want these days. They don't want all this entertainment, all this goofy bullshit. They want to see wrestling. That's what I tune in when I want to watch wrestling. I want to watch the wrestling. I don't give a shit what the fashion police are doing. You know, I don't give a shit about their little vignettes, pretending to be fashion police and, you know, the stupid gimmick that they got going. There is better ways to do it. A lot better ways to do it. Look at what NXT's doing, apply it, use it, and it will all come together. Now, I want to thank everyone for joining me, that has joined me. Anyone that joins me afterwards, thank you. This is the first stream that has actually come together the way it should. I hope that you guys enjoy it. And even if there isn't anyone watching right now, please leave a comment below. Tell me how everything looked to you, because I am tired of the crappy live streams that we've been trying to do. It's about time things started coming together for us here at Pillar to Post. I want to say good night, and I will see you definitely after Backlash tomorrow night. I think I'm going to live stream my review and results show, so I will see you then. Have a good night. And remember, audibletrial.com/Pillar to Post for your free audiobook and your free 30-day trial with Audible. Make sure you check it out, because, like I said, it just helps me and it helps you. You get something for free while you're helping the channel out and you're helping Audible out. Have a good night, everyone.